let's keep it going. Earnings season, and we have to bring you all our management today. That is Mr. Anuj Kumar, the MD and CEO at CAMS, is joining in with us to talk about the numbers coming in. Good afternoon, sir, and thank you so much for joining in with us this afternoon. And I want to talk about the numbers. Surely seems like a decent and a healthy set of numbers coming in from the company. Now, in terms of when you're looking at the SIP flows, that also has seen an uptrend coming in even on a sequential basis. Could you help us understand how has the growth been in mutual fund business and what is the outlook coming in here?
Hi, good afternoon, and thanks for having me over. Like you know, and like we stated in the earnings call, it's been a slightly tough quarter, and it's been tough for two reasons. One, of course, the indices were facing headwinds for most of the quarter, and that kind of got in the way of build out, especially the valuation build out of equity assets. The second is the mutual fund industry wasn't launching new fund offerings. As you know, a lot of collection happens basis these new fund offerings, assets come in. And then because new investors come in, KRA company results are better because they are able to do business. So because of those two reasons, it was a slightly tough quarter. The good news, however, is at the foundational level, I think most of the metrics are very solid. You spoke about SIP collections. If you see in the trailing 3 quarters, 1Q of this year and 4Q and 3Q of last year, our collections have gone up by close to 1,000 crore every quarter. So about just short of 19,000 to about 20 and then to 21. And that's a very strong foundational metric, which augurs well for the future because it creates asset build out, which is the core metric for the industry. SIP registrations were also very strong, slightly muted compared to last quarter, but at 37 lakh, this was far in excess of 28 lakh that we had done in the same quarter last year. Equity net inflows were almost 37,000 crore positive, which is very good news. So if you take effectively, despite the fact that the stock market indices were going down, our equity assets were up about 2.5%. And overall, I think, therefore, for the future, it lays a good foundation for us to continue growing the business on.
Right. Good afternoon. This is Cheryl also joining in the conversation, and you said it was a tough quarter. Your transaction volumes, if you look at it on a sequential basis, there was a decline of about 4%, while your equity quarterly average AUM saw an increase of about 2.6%. Could you help us understand what sort of overall investor sentiment are you actually gauging right now? What are the data points actually suggesting?
The data points are suggesting strong confidence in the mutual fund industry and in the markets. In the past, you've seen investors panic whenever indices fell, let's say 10 to 15%. This time, instead of panic, we saw a very steady sentiment for the investors. They continued coming forward and participating in the market. They continued paying for their SIPs. They did not redeem in haste. And if you look at all of these three reasons, I think that augurs well for the market. So foundationally, investor behavior has been very positive during the quarter.
Mr. Kumar, I do want to talk about one thing is that, CAMS does serve to the top asset managers in the country with a constant market share of 70%. So, are there any specific trends that you have observed coming in, especially on a month-on-month basis? Is there something different coming in there? You did touch upon the SIP registrations, but for Q2 also, how are they looking like?
I think all these metrics are holding, and they should be expect that they will continue holding out, which means SIP registrations, the momentum should continue. You also know that there will be more NFO launches, which were very muted in the first quarter due to a backdrop of the industry having stopped those. So collectively between these two, I think this will drive overall collections, especially in the equity space, but also generally across the market. So those indicators look pretty well poised.
Right. Could you talk about the levers that you have actually on the margins and the operational efficiency front? And also if you could shed some light on what's your yield outlook for the next 1 to 2 years?
So as far as operational efficiency is concerned, we've spoken in the past that we continue to automate the business and make it as straight through as possible. You're also aware that with regulation and with the process enhancements, there is a lot more diligence in terms of investors, their well-being, their tax identities, and just to make the entire industry completely as much as possible anti-fraud. and therefore, no mistaken identities, etc., should sneak in. That creates more work for the registrar because we've got to ring fence the entire system and make it almost ironclad. So we continue to invest monies there. Overall, we believe that the industry will be steady and will be poised for growth as far as sentiment in the overall markets is concerned. As far as investment is concerned, we continue to invest in people, processes, and overall tech capability to continue enhancing performance. Because our work continues to go up, obviously the value that we deliver to the mutual fund industry is accretive almost every year. And therefore, that and the fact that our equity component of the overall mix has gone up has continued to make sure that the yields are holding at past levels.
Right, Mr. Kumar, we leave it there. Thank you so much for joining us on the show to give us a flavor of the quarter gone by for CAMS and what should we expect going ahead. And that was Mr. Anuj Kumar, who is the MD and CEO at CAMS.